With that, you guys, you can hear it in the video right here. The Indiana Fever fans were chanting, Sophie, Sophie.
Definitely the W, especially if Sophie Cunningham is going to continue to fight people for messing with Caitlin Clark, because it feels like Caitlin Clark is going to get treated in a certain way in this league for a long time. She's not a rookie anymore. Okay? She's already proved herself. She's won. And then there were some, ladies last night that were trying to go a little physical. And in last year, I think something we noticed, and I think a lot of people noticed, is when Caitlin would get bullied, nobody would do nothing.
That's right.
Nobody would do nothing. It was like, hey, they didn't know, like, whoa, I can't believe this is happening. I can't believe people are doing this to Caitlin Clark. Teammates weren't jumping in there. They bring in Sophie Cunningham. I had no idea.
Sophie Cunningham's jersey is going to sell out tonight. The people have been waiting for this. If the refs are not going to do their job, the players are going to have to be the enforcers themselves. This game was chippy from the beginning, and the refs did not do their job. JC Sheldon pokes Caitlin Clark in the eye, and then Caitlin gets chucked to the ground by Marina Mabry. And the Indiana Fever girls are just supposed to be like, yeah, no worries, no big deal. No one was ejected for that, but we're just gonna play cool. No, finally someone was like, no, I'm gonna stand on business. An intentional hard foul where she knew she wouldn't hurt JC Sheldon, but she sent a message. It didn't need to get to this point though. It's the referee's fault. Where did they find these referees? Behind the cash register at Sephora? They took nearly 20 minutes to review that play where Caitlin Clark got poked in the eye. And they came back and gave out 3 techs and 1 flagrant to JC Sheldon. If you guys don't remember, in the last game that the Fever played the Sun, JC Sheldon took out Sydney Colson's leg and was part of the reason that Sophie re-injured her ankle. So do I promote violence? No. But did somebody need to stand on business in this situation? Yes. All I know is there is about to be a lot more Sophie Cunningham fans after tonight.
In San Francisco tomorrow, you're on the Las Vegas Strip. What can the Las Vegas expect from Sophie?
Oh, you know what? I'm just gonna be me. I don't go in there trying to predetermine anything. I'm dialed in. I need to focus on hitting my shots, making sure I'm executing the schemes right. I'm not focused on the extracurricular activities. And you know what? During that, it was just part of the game. I think the refs had a lot to do with that. It was a build-up for a couple of years now of them just not protecting, the star player of the WNBA. And so at the end of the day, I'm going to protect my teammates. That's what I do. And I'm a team player, so.
And it's crazy that, it's not actually crazy. It's not surprising, unfortunately, because the referees have been horrible this entire time. But somebody else who called out the referees and has not been afraid to call out the referees is Coach Stephanie White. Think if this was LeBron in the NBA. Think if this was Steph Curry in the NBA. Do you really think that the NBA would be allowing certain players in the NBA to go after LeBron the way that Caitlin was chucked to the ground? Do you think if another player came up, blindsided LeBron, chucked him to the ground after he had just been poked in the eye, that the NBA would be like, oh yeah, technicals, nobody's ejected, just a common technical foul? That would never happen. It would never happen. Play because she was standing on business. It wasn't a dirty play. It was an intentional foul, and it was meant to send a message. It turned into a scuffle, and I don't think anybody wanted that. But the way that the game went and how egregious the referees were and how they were not protecting players, and they especially weren't protecting the #1 player in this league, the biggest draw in this league, which is Caitlin Clark, and they continue to not do that. She's gonna stand up for her teammate, and that's what she did in that.
In a league already under fire for shady officiating and rising tensions, one moment just flipped the entire WNBA upside down. Sophie Cunningham, the hard-nosed baller known for her no-nonsense style, has just ignited a firestorm that could redefine the league itself. After being suspended for defending Caitlin Clark, Sophie did what nobody expected. She filed a lawsuit against WNBA Commissioner Kathy Engelbert, and that's when things got explosive. It all started in a game already boiling over with frustration, missed calls, rough play, and once again, Caitlin Clark, the rookie shaking up the league, was getting hacked, shoved, and blindsided without a whistle in sight. The fans saw it, the cameras caught it, and the chant started echoing. Sophie! Sophie! She heard it loud and clear, and instead of backing down, she snapped into action. With the kind of intensity that can shift a season, Sophie went coast to coast, and in a single explosive moment, she sent a message, not just to the other team, but to the entire WNBA. It all kicked off when JC Sheldon swiped at Clark's face. Seconds later, Marina Mabry bulldozed into her, sending Caitlyn crashing to the floor. No ejection, no flagrant, nothing but silence from the officials. But Sophie wasn't about to let that slide. She answered back with a hard foul, one that echoed through the arena like thunder. To some, it was over the top. To others, it was long overdue payback. The league acted fast, suspending Sophie and painting her as the villain. But outside WNBA HQ, fans were fired up. Commentators called her the Enforcer. Fever fans called her the Spark. And online, it went nuclear. Within hours, clips of the moment exploded across ESPN, Twitter, TikTok, and Instagram. Sophie Cunningham was trending nationwide, not just in women's hoops, but across all sports. Her jersey sold out, her follower count skyrocketing. Sophie, once known mostly by diehard fans, had become a household name, all because she stood up when no one else would. But this wasn't just about one foul, it was about everything it stood for. For months, fans have been begging the league to protect Caitlin Clark, but each game brought new clips, elbows, shoves, cheap shots, and nothing but shrug-worthy responses from the refs. It was starting to look like open season on the league's biggest draw, so Sophie stepped up, and the narrative flipped. Some fans lost it. A petition was launched, demanding Sophie be kicked out of the league permanently. Others, they rallied. They made t-shirts, fan art, TikToks calling her the bodyguard the WNBA never knew it needed. But the league didn't budge. The suspension stood, and that's when Sophie dropped the bombshell. A federal lawsuit. Legal experts dove in instantly. The lawsuit accuses Kathy Engelbert personally of defamation, saying the league smeared Sophie by calling her behavior detrimental to the integrity of the game. But that's not all. The lawsuit claims the punishment was unfair, selectively enforced, and clearly targeted Sophie for doing what other players have been praised for, in protecting a teammate. And the heart of the case, that she wasn't punished for what she did. She was punished for who she did it for. Sophie's lawyers argue that the WNBA has fumbled Caitlin Clark's debut season, failing to protect their most valuable star while letting the bullying go unchecked. And now, that failure might cost them. Sophie Cunningham's legal team isn't pulling any punches. Their case is clear. When the WNBA failed to act, Sophie stepped up, and the league turned her into a scapegoat. But they're not just focused on one moment. Her lawyers are laying out a pattern, a long track record of inconsistent, selective discipline across the WNBA. They're pointing to multiple examples where players committed similar or even worse fouls and barely got a slap on the wrist. Yet in Sophie's case, the hammer came down hard. A suspension that didn't just cost her playing time, but also damaged her public image. That damage is now at the heart of a defamation case against Commissioner Kathy Engelbert and the league. But that's not all. The lawsuit even accuses the WNBA of retaliation. According to Sophie's team, when her actions started gaining massive support from fans, the Fever and league actually leaned into the moment, posting highlights, selling merch, and riding the viral wave. Her name was trending. Her jersey sold out. She was becoming a fan favorite. But then the tide turned. When Sophie's popularity started to overshadow the league's narrative, everything changed. Suddenly, the tone shifted, the promotion stopped, the suspension came, and the league acted like she'd crossed a line. All for doing what fans believed the refs should have been doing in the first place, protecting Caitlin Clark. The legal filing even includes a full appendix of public reactions, media clips, and analyst takes, all showing the same message echoed across the country. Sophie Cunningham did what the league wouldn't, and instead of being celebrated, she got punished. Since the suspension, Sophie has kept quiet in public. No dramatic interviews, no fiery press conferences, but behind the scenes, she was preparing for war, not just for herself, but for every player who's been told to stay silent. This lawsuit isn't just about a hard foul, it's about a broken system, a system that has failed to consistently protect its biggest stars, a system where loyalty to a teammate can get you benched, suspended, or worse. And fans, they're not staying silent either. For months, WNBA viewers have grown more frustrated. Bad officiating, unchecked cheap shots, locker room drama, it's all been piling up. Now, with Sophie's legal action, there's finally a fight back. And Caitlin Clark's fan base, they've latched onto this moment like never before, because to them, Sophie Cunningham isn't just a player anymore. She's a symbol of someone who refused to stand by while Clark got targeted game after game. Someone who said, "Not on my watch." And the impact? It's massive. Sophie's Fever jersey has been re-released in special editions, flying off shelves like wildfire. Her new nickname, the Bodyguard, has taken over TikTok, memes, and highlight reels. She's now one of the most marketable faces in the WNBA, with endorsement offers flooding in, energy drink sponsors, fitness apparel, even national talk shows are lining up to feature her. Because what Sophie did isn't just a viral moment, it's a movement. She became the voice for fans tired of watching Caitlin Clark get knocked down with no calls, while league officials shrugged it off like it was part of the game. Sophie didn't just stand up for Clark, she stood up to the entire league, and now the WNBA is scrambling. If Sophie wins or even settles this lawsuit, it could open the floodgates. More players might come forward when they feel targeted. The league's credibility, leadership, and culture are all under a microscope now, and Kathy Engelbert, still no public statement. As for Clark, she hasn't mentioned the case directly, but at a recent press conference, her words said it all. She praised her teammates for their heart, for their unity, for never backing down. Fans heard it loud and clear. This is no longer just a suspension. It's a full-blown statement. This isn't just a sports controversy anymore. It's a full-blown cultural moment. Outlets that rarely even mention the WNBA are running front-page stories. Talk shows, debate tables, and podcasts are analyzing every second of the footage. Everyone's asking, was Sophie Cunningham's foul too much? Was the suspension fair? And why is she being punished for doing what countless others have gotten away with? But in the middle of the noise, one thing is clear. Sophie isn't backing down. Her legal team is going all in, not just asking for money, but demanding a full retraction. They want her suspension completely erased from the record. They want the WNBA to admit this wasn't a cheap shot. It was a teammate stepping in when no one else would. And above all, they want the league to answer for what fans have been calling out for months: a double standard in how it protects its stars. Sophie might have once been seen as a role player and someone grinding in the background, but now she's the heartbeat of a movement. Her teammates view her differently. The fans, they've elevated her. And the league, whether they admit it or not, they see her as a force that can't be ignored. She's not just the player who threw down a hard foul, she's the one who said enough. Social media has exploded with support, tribute edits, highlight reels, even mock legal docs turned into viral skits. On TikTok, reenactments of the moment have taken over. On Twitter, hashtags like #StandWithSophie and #bodyguard of the W trend daily. This all started with a foul, but it's grown into something much bigger, a movement. And Sophie's response to critics? Legendary. When the petition to ban her was gaining traction, she didn't even speak. She just retweeted a post announcing her Fever jersey had officially sold out. That single tweet said it all. No league statement or suspension can undo what she's built with fans. No punishment can erase her impact. Privately, her teammates describe her as the glue of the locker room, the steady voice during chaos, the fighter with fire in her heart. Now she's doing what no one else dared to do, taking the fight off the court and into the courtroom. Because this isn't just about Sophie anymore. It's about what kind of league the WNBA wants to become. Does it reward loyalty and passion, or does it silence anyone who steps outside the script? This case could define the WNBA for years to come. This case could define the WNBA for years to come, and until there's an answer, Sophie Cunningham remains exactly what her fans believe she is: a protector, a fighter, and now a fearless challenger to the system that tried to shut her down. And judging by the army of support rising behind her, that system better be ready.